Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to the channel, episode 210. So, like the last episode, this isn't going to be the most interesting episode, but there are things to discuss, and when I found out about these things, I was like, I guess I can talk about this. Not to mention, these things were completely off my radar. I didn't know these things existed until, you know, they popped up in the news. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's get started. So the first thing, this happened yesterday. This movie called The Beekeeper. So The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham and directed by David Ayer, Suicide Squad David Ayer, not the James Gunn one, the original Suicide Squad, the one people hate. That one. So this thing is coming out next January, so literally in like 3 months, January 12th. It has a trailer and everything, but I'm sorry, I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot get over the fact they named this The Beekeeper. Like, that has to be the goofiest name I've heard for a movie in a long time. A very long time. Because The Beekeeper, that sounds like some intentionally bad, like, fake horror movie out there. Like, you know how some movies have like fake trailers in them for like movies that don't exist, like Tropic Thunder, for example, has like several of them in the opening of the movie. Like The Beekeeper just sounds like one of those, like some really awful, intentionally awful horror movie where it's like The Beekeeper. Like, it does not sound like an action movie. It just doesn't. And I know it's a part of the plot. Like, apparently Statham is a part of this organization known as Beekeepers. So this movie really isn't about bees. So I don't get it. I don't know who greenlit that title. I don't know who approved that title. I don't know. And besides, when I think like this movie's gonna automatically I'm gonna think of two movies, and they're both about bees. The first is Bee Movie, obviously, and then the second one is the Nicolas Cage's The Wicker Man. For, well, if you've seen the movie or if you've seen the meme, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, it's an iconic moment that is just the best of bad cinema. It really is. But yeah, this movie, I don't care about it. The only reason I don't really care about it, but the only reason why I even remotely care is because of its stupid name. But the movie itself, whatever. It's probably just going to be another Jason Statham action flick, and nothing more. But for all you Jason Statham fans, it's coming out in a few months. So you got something to do in January. So yeah, so I had to talk about this first because it's older. But now we get to the newer stuff. This thing right here, Horizon in American Saga, something I've never heard of before until today, when it was announced it was getting the two-part treatment, and I'm just like, huh? So, Horizon and American Saga from Kevin Costner. It's being released in two parts. The first part's coming out June 28th, and the second part's coming out August 16th of next year. So both of these movies, these two parts, coming out the same summer. Literally less than a 2 month gap in between them. And it's just like, I don't even know, because I guess this is more proof that the two-part trend is really coming back in full force, because I remember it was a thing like a decade ago when like Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows did it, part 1, part 2, and then everyone started doing it. Twilight did it, Hunger Games did it, Divergent was supposed to do it but completely just fell apart because Allegiant did so awful. Justice League was supposed to do it, but part 2 never happened for pretty obvious reasons if you know the history of that movie. And Avengers Infinity War was supposed to be part 1 and 2, but then they changed it to Infinity War and Endgame. I guess because they wanted the movies to stand out more, or maybe they thought the part one, part two was starting to become poison because I guess people see like part one, part two, people see it as a cash grab. You're trying to like squeeze more money out of the audience, even though technically this whole actually when I think about it, this whole part one, part two trend, I don't think it really started with Harry Potter. I know Kill Bill did it. That did it way before Harry Potter. I had Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and there was like a gap of like 6 months in between those movies. So it's not the first time, but it was really popularized in like the early part of the 2010s. And now in the 2020s, it's making a comeback. I mean, Mission Impossible is doing it, Spider-Verse is doing it, although they changed it to Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Not Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, 2. That was the initial plan, but they changed it. I guess Dune, they did the same thing, like Dune and Dune Part 2. They just split the story into two parts. And now here we are with this, that's getting like the two-part treatment. And yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about it, but yeah, I just don't have any thoughts. I just think this is strange. Like you expect this for like something that has like every other example, like with the exception of like Kill Bill, was based off a long running like franchise or a well known IP. This isn't. So like for like I guess they're gonna release two parts anyway. But if that first part bombs, then oh boy, part two is gonna be in serious trouble. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Kevin Costner, he's got a fan base. I mean, Yellowstone, that show was a huge, huge hit, even though he and the producers on the show have had some bad blood recently. I don't know the whole details about it, but it's really messy. But for all you Kevin Costner fans, I mean, summer 2024, that's gonna be your summer because you get to see him not once but twice. So yeah, and that's really. I guess there's like one more movie I can talk about very, very quickly because I don't care about it at all. Freud's last session. This thing supposed to get a limited release in December 22nd. Expansion in January. I don't care. You don't care. No one cares. It's for C.S. Lewis. The guy behind Chronicles of Narnia. That's kind of cool, ish. But it just December's way too crowded anyway. Like what is this? There's too many movies. I don't know. It's overload. It's just straight up overload. All right, but now we're done. Now we can look at the calendar. I wasn't able to do this last time because the site wasn't working. But it's working now. So now we can properly do this. So uh October. I mean, nothing should change. Although apparently I have to do When Evil Lurks for some reason. I'm not doing Hocus Pocus. I'm just not. That's had multiple re-releases at this point. I don't. You know what? I get. Should I? Should I do it? I really don't want to. I really don't. I'm just not gonna do it. I feel like that's just a waste. But I don't actually. I'll think about it. But I know I'm doing Exorcist Believer. That is a guarantee. So I'm doing that. Then there's Taylor Swift Eras Tour. That's gonna be the big one. Then Killers of the Flower Moon. Then Dick's the Musical. Then all these movies at the end of October. Then you got November. Got Priscilla. You got the Marvels. Then you got all these movies, and all these movies here. I know Wish got a trailer, was publicly released, and people were kind of dunking on it. um, I don't have much opinion on it. I didn't really care that much about it anyway. But Thanksgiving has a trailer now. Its marketing has really started, and I'm like, I may watch the trailer for that. If it looks good, I'll watch it. I'll probably watch it anyway, just out of pure curiosity. But yeah, so that's November. Then you got December. Way too many movies coming out. Like Jesus Christ. Like what is this? Like look at December 1st. All these movies. There's no way they're all coming out at once. It's not gonna happen. Especially with Beyonce's movie coming out, it's gonna cause some movies to shift, I would imagine. Then you got the rest of December, which is just too it's too crowded. That month is going to be an absolute nightmare for me. Hell, pretty much every weekend, well, pretty much every weekend I'm doing from November 10th through Christmas is going to suck. Except maybe the 8th. That one won't be too bad. Every other weekend is going to be awful. So, gotta mentally prepare myself for that. And then you got January. I know Night Swim got like a trailer. And there's The Beekeeper. Same weekend as Book of Clarence and the Mean Girls musical movie. And then you got February, all these. Argyle, I know, has a trailer. I haven't seen it. But the movie looks, from the pictures I've seen, it looks interesting. So I might watch the trailer just to see what I'm dealing with. And then you got March, all these movies. And you got April, and then you got May, and then you got June. There's Horizon Chapter 1. And they got July, then August, and there's Horizon Chapter 2. And there's September, October, November, December. Yeah, and they got all these movies that will probably never see the light of day, except maybe Beyond the Spider-Verse. That should see the light of day in like several years. I guess Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I guess that too, but I don't know about the rest of these. I think they're a lost cause. And then you got 2025, all these movies. Da, 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 and yeah. Yeah, that's really it. So that's like the next 2 years. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. I'll check out more videos like this. I got playlists on the homepage, all previous cancel episodes I made on the channel. There's now like 210, including this one. So if you want to watch any of them from beginning to now, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that, so go do it. There's also box office predictions where I predict box office for movies. This weekend, I really thought I was only going to do Exorcist Believer. I thought that would be it. It looked like that for a long time, but I guess some movies just had to pop in at the last second. And those movies are Hocus Pocus, the re-release, and When Evil Lurks, which I guess I'm doing 3. I guess I'm going to do them all. Yay. And then the week after is the one I'm pretty sure all the Taylor Swift fans, all the Swifties are waiting for, the Eras tour. Like that's going to be an interesting video to talk about. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, if you want to watch any of the past prediction videos I made this year or the past or on the channel past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. September recap will come out next week, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past, I guess I might as well mention October recap. When am I doing that? Beginning of November. Yeah, the beginning of November. That first real week of November. So stay tuned for that as well. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.